Hi everybody, Russ the Boss here, and welcome to Waiver Wire Pickup Week number 7, Casey Steinfeld. Eight. I get it wrong every week. I just love it. There were unbelievable upsets last week. Let's talk about it real quick. Casey Steinfeld, the biggest one. This could be the biggest upset of the year.
The biggest upset of the year, you think?
Bills, New England. Bills 8.5 point favorites, and for some reason they played horribly.
Yeah,
Josh Allen isn't this great quarterback that everybody thinks. I mean, he's been throwing darts like the beginning of the season, and now he can't even get over 20 points in any of these games. He looks horrible, Casey Steinfeld. What are your thoughts on the Bills?
From a fantasy perspective, Josh Allen's still the only one that has been underperforming. I think Stephon Diggs still did fine. Dalton Kincaid, our cover boy, I know you're a big fan of him. He's kind of emerging there.
Tell me why Kincaid's the big pickup this week, Case.
Well, because he's become a big part of that offense. I mean, more than anything, he's become a reliable option for Josh Allen as a red zone target and an emergency kind of check down or outlet receiver.
And guess who's out for at least 4 weeks? He had wrist surgery yesterday. Is Dalton Knox, their other tight end that gets the ball? He's no longer there.
Yeah, he's on the IR, isn't he?
He's on the sidelines with the sling like this. He's not playing at all, Casey Steinfeld. So the rookie Kincaid from, is it BYU or Utah? I know it's Utah or BYU, one of those schools. He's going to fill in, and he's going to get the ball a lot. And this guy, they drafted him, I believe, in the first round, and there's a reason why.
Yeah, I mean, everybody kind of agreed he was the best tight end in the draft. And so the Bills, I think, actually traded up to get him.
They did. And I love how New England, everybody counted them out. No one picked them at all. A lot of people had them in survivor pools losing to the Bills.
They had a bad week.
Knocked out. Not me. I had Seattle. So let's talk about the other big upset was last night.
Yeah, that was big. That play at the end of the first half just changed the game entirely.
Tell us what happened.
Well, Minnesota got the ball with like a minute left, and they were just struggling to move it down the field. And then all of a sudden, they had no timeouts. They were making one last pass to try to get down into field goal range, I think. They threw a skinny post to Jordan Addison, and he and the defensive back got to the ball at the same time, wrestled for it. And as the defensive back kind of fell, you saw Addison hang on to the ball, and then he just ran uncontested into the end zone. It reminded me a little bit of the Stephon Diggs touchdown against the Saints in that playoff game so many years ago when he was on the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, Addison not played like a rookie last night. I mean, this guy was all world. I mean, he was filling the shoes of Justin Jefferson. He looked unbelievable. I hope you guys started in fantasy, or at least
I don't know. Have you read anything about Hawkinson's injury? Because it looked like he got banged up.
Hawkinson came back. He's fine.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, there were some injuries over the weekend. I know Ford of Cleveland is hurt. That's the big one. He's out at least for a few weeks, which is going to hurt Cleveland a lot. So Strong is going to move up into the backup position where Hunt is, and Hunt's going to be the starter. Does that make sense in Cleveland? So we'll talk about waiver wire pickups and stuff, but there were some big injuries in fantasy that's going to hurt you in fantasy. So I want everybody to know what's going on. But the biggest one, I think, is Ford being out for a good amount of time because Cleveland relies on that run, as we all know.
Yeah, but how exciting is it now if you were one of the ones who bet on Kareem Hunt? Suddenly you have a pretty viable running back here.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to draft him in our Dynasty League this year, and I need him because I got some key injuries this week, so I started him. So let's talk about the Niners losing last night. We had him on the pedestal in the NFC. Does that knock that down?
The Brock Montana bubble has been burst.
Well, he shows that he's a 7th-round pick last night. I mean, he had 2 major picks.
Yeah.
I mean, one at the end of the game. I mean, they could have won the game, but Brock Montana did not come through. And that was his worst game of his career. And he really showed why he was drafted in the 7th round. Do you think that should worry in San Francisco? Is there a panic going on at the disco? What's going on, Casey Steinfeld?
I don't think there should be panic. I know they've lost 2 in a row. they lost last week, this past week, because Brock Montana played like Brock Purdy. The week before, they missed a field goal at the end of the game that would have won it for them, and they were going against arguably the best defense in the league in the Cleveland Browns in that game, and they for times didn't have McCaffrey or Deebo Samuel on the field. They didn't have Deebo last night. I actually don't fault. I don't know what plays were called, but you have Brandon Ayuk, who has arguably been the most uncoverable wide receiver in football, and they targeted him like 4 or 5 times total in the game. It didn't make sense to me. I don't know if it was because Purdy wasn't comfortable throwing into tight windows, or if it wasn't scripted that way. You also had McCaffrey, who came back to play, but everybody was worried about his oblique, right? And so you weren't sure how much he was going to play. They had him out there 100% of the snaps.
Like, really? Elijah Mitchell didn't get one hand up?
No, didn't get on the field.
I didn't pay attention to that. I did pay attention of Powell got the ball a lot. Jennings got the ball a lot. They were trying to get Kittle the ball. He had some good catches, but you're right. Ayuk did not. It was not in the mix at all.
I don't understand what Kyle Shanahan I'm sure he's going to get asked that at the press conference, but
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he danced around it like he does every time he does a press conference.
But you're going to get Deebo back ideally this week, I think, from what I saw, but who knows? And they're back at home again. They were on the road the last 2 games.
Yep, got back at home against my Cincinnati Bengals. It should be a good game. Cincinnati's coming off a bye. Just remember, they have 2 weeks. They rested. They're going to be ready for that game.
Yeah, I'm hoping Joe Burrow's calf is.
Every week it gets better, Casey Scheinfeld, and they're in Santa Clara, which they haven't lost in a long time. But I smell upset, Casey Scheinfeld. I smell upset. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
So if San Francisco loses 3 games in a row, but still goes 12-5 or 13-4,
okay,
are you really going to be worried about them as one of the top teams in the NFC?
No, I'm not worried, but it's just these Niner fans have to win every week. I mean, with me, I'll be happy to make the playoffs with my Bengals this year.
God, I was happy the Giants were able to beat the Commanders, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I mean, I did watch that game, and I think they look better. Let's talk to the Giants now.
With Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor, I mean, I think Jones is back this week. I read that he's going to be back for the Jets, Giants, the Stoopy Bowl we call it here in L.A. He's back supposedly. I like the Jets between you and I in that game because their defense I just think is a top 5, and they'll knock it with.
Yeah, and I think Breece Hall can run wild.
I do too, and Barkley's not 100%. He's injured also. He's on my list.
It depends if Zach Wilson tries to win the game or tries to just manage the game.
But is Tyrod Taylor? Do you think he's a step up of Jones' case? I mean, you're a Giants expert.
I've never been a huge Daniel Jones believer the way some people have been. I don't know if I don't know the answers. Tyrod Taylor's looked better the last 2 weeks. Tyrod Taylor's been a career backup for a reason. I know he was supposed to start in Los Angeles for Justin Herbert's rookie year, but like getting an injection, they punctured his lung and it cost him the starting job there. And we all know what Herbert's done since he's got the job, but I don't know how much they've simplified the offense. I don't know what the responsibilities they put on him versus Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones played all 3 of the last 3 of his games without Saquon Barkley. That makes a huge difference, having that back in the backfield for Tyrod Taylor. They need to get a wide receiver. If they
I agree,
get a big outside wide receiver. I mean, Slayton and Hodgins are great as
a 3 and 4,
or a 4 and 5 even. But they're not. They can't be your X and Y receivers on the outside.
That's the case. Their receivers are pitiful. I feel bad for Jones.
If Cincinnati puts T. Higgins on the block, I hope the Giants are willing to give up a substantial package to get him, because that's the type of receiver they need. Somebody who can win the contested ball or catch it at its high point. Those aren't things that anybody they have on the roster is good at.
Okay, these are the players that are hurt that we'll talk about why you should counter it with your waiver wire pickups this week. So these are the players that are hurt that mean something in fantasy. I'm not going to mention some backup tight end that no one cares about. Doesn't matter. Jalen Hurts, he may not play this week, Casey.
They're playing They're playing the Commanders, right? So
Right, but the
probably win with
NFC,
the
they
back.
always beat each other up. All
I
those
know.
teams, I mean, Dallas, it doesn't matter who's playing. They just beat up each other. Their backup, I know who their backup is. Do you know who it is?
Nope.
Marcus Mariota.
Oh, is it Mariota?
Yeah, I
The
have him in our
Oregon
fantasy
Duck.
league. The Oregon Duck. He's the backup. It's a good quiz question. I knew that just because I have him in our fantasy league. Dynasty, just so you guys don't think I'm some maniac. Deshaun Watson
Yeah.
may
I
not
don't,
play.
but that was my biggest swing and miss, I think, of this offseason, where I thought he was going to since he had a full offseason of workouts, that he was going to come back and be a top 5, top 7 quarterback again. He's looked like a shell of himself. He hasn't done anything. So if somebody was relying on him being healthy for fantasy coming into week 8 at this point, they're already 1-6.
Listen, I was a big advocate against him. I
I
just
know
said
you
he's
were.
not the same player. I said, don't draft him. I said, draft CJ Stroud before the season started. I said, draft one of those guys. Don't go. Another guy that played a little bit, and if you played daily fantasy games, he destroyed it for you because he did nothing, is Bijan Robinson.
Oh, the Falcons are in hot water for that one, aren't they?
But they won. So when you win a game and you bench, I don't know if he was benched, he was hurt. I mean, he was actually hurt.
He woke up sick, they're saying.
Yeah, they said he was sick, so they still won. So you can't be mad at your team. Maybe maybe something bad could have happened if you played. But all those daily fantasy players that started him, I feel bad for you. And DraftKings, who has those prop bets with him, they did the nice thing. They gave all the money back to the players who bet that, just because they felt bad. So that's nice to hear. Somebody has a heart. Bijan Robinson is hurt. Saquon Barkley is hurt. Jalen Waddle is on the hurt list case.
Yeah, and he had a good game.
Christian Watson is hurt again. And the other tight end in Green Bay, Luke Musgrave, the rookie, he is hurt also. So those are some major talent that I thought that was like we should at least mention in our show that is hurt, that if you have those players, you should figure out how you can get their backup. So we can do it right now if you want. Casey, let's talk waiver wire. Let's talk your list. You're the master of picking up players. You're unbelievable. Tell me what your strategy is this week and who you're picking up.
Well, the waiver wire is getting pretty thin. I got to be honest. Look, I talked about him last week in a short and in our show. Josh Downs is still only 37% owned. All he's done, is build good chemistry with Gardner Minshew, who's going to be the starting quarterback for the rest of the year. He's still a free agent. I'm not sure why. So I'm looking for guys who are going to get volume. Curtis Samuel's another one in Washington who's getting thrown to, but for some reason is still only 55% owned when Jahan Dotson has been terrible. I'm looking for guys with opportunities to play, right? Or guys who are going to be injury replacements for some of the ones you just mentioned. I'm not going to target Marcus Mariota unless I'm desperate. But there's not a lot on the waiver wire that are going to be real difference makers. So
what I did last week, I had Williams, the running back for the Rams. I'm not going to say his first name because I always mess it up.
Kyron.
And thank you. That's why I have you here. I picked up Darrell Henderson.
That was a smart pickup.
And I picked him up. He had over 50 yards and a touchdown. I won my week because of his help. He's still available in the waiver wire, but it's weird what they did. Monday, they dropped him back to the practice squad, which I didn't understand that move, unless they're thinking about playing Freeman or playing somebody else at running back. I wasn't quite sure if they weren't happy with him, but he got the ball 14 times. I'm not quite sure. So take a note on that. But Henderson, to me, is a good pickup this week. I also love Devontae Foreman of Chicago. We have a question. Let me just mention Devontae Foreman, 33 fantasy points. He is my pickup of the week. I did a short about him. If he's available in your league, 52% of leagues, he's available. Pick him up immediately. He's going to be the Bears' #1 running back. That guy looked awesome with 3 touchdowns last week. Casey Sheffield.
Yeah, he's over 60% owned now, but
there you go. But yesterday was 48, so I don't tell you. Dylan, welcome to the party, pal. Casey, read the message.
It says, "What up, boys? Won my week by 3 points.
Woo!
Congratulations. The close wins always feel better, don't they?
Woo!
Um,
They do.
he came back from being down 3. He only had Ayuk. The other guy had Madison and the Niners D. Well, fortunately for you, the Niners D didn't show up, and Madison is not a fantasy viable running back at this point. I don't think. Cam Akers, I never thought I would say this, but looked a lot faster and more explosive when he was in the game. So congrats. He also said, I already got Spears and Downs on my bench. Happy about that. Waiver wire question, is Darrell Henderson long-term good or only a good play until Kyron back? Also considering Kincaid for backup tight end. I think
Kincaid, we talked about earlier.
Kincaid is a great backup tight end
Pick
right
him
now.
up now.
Look,
the reason Knox dropped that ball, they could have won the game, Casey Scheinfold. The Bills they could have won that game, but Knox dropped the ball. I wonder why he dropped it. His wrist was broken.
come on. If he's a true football player, he could have played through it.
I could have caught that. In all seriousness, I could have caught. I have good hands, actually. But I could have caught that ball, and the guy dropped it, and I knew there was something wrong with him, and he broke his wrist. So
I do not think, Dylan, I'm skeptical of Darrell Henderson being long-term good. There's a reason why they didn't bring him back in the offseason. There's a reason why he was out there and available in week 7.
He was practice squad. He was on the practice squad. They had him practicing every week, but keep going.
But I think the reason he played a lot this week is because he's familiar with McVay's offense, having been there before. I think as these others, the Zach Evans and stuff, get more up to speed on the playbook, you'll see them take a little bit more of that run from. So long-term, no. And when Kyron gets back, let's be honest, Kyron has earned that starting spot. When he gets back, it should be given back to him.
I like that too. But yes.
You got another question. Hold on. Josh. Hey, Josh, welcome to the show. Would you trade Jonathan Taylor, Russell Wilson, and Rashid Shaheed,
who Casey loves,
for Alvin Kamara, Daniel Jones? Oh, wait, that's it? For Alvin Kamara and Danny Jones? No.
Jonathan Taylor? No.
You think Jimmy Kamara, G or Daniel Jones is better than Russ?
I'd rather have Russell Wilson. Daniel Jones, to me, is, like we said, he has no wide receivers. I mean, he has no
current roster. He has Russ at quarterback, JT and Aaron Jones. He has Tyreek Hill, Christian Kirk, Cole Kmet, and Jacoby Myers. Well, Kirk might be hurt, so monitor that.
I'm going to give you somebody you should pick up, though, just in case if he's in, like, the form he was 3 years ago, okay?
It's a 20-man PPR, though, so.
He's probably already – but Kyler Murray is coming back. He's practicing right now. I don't know. I'm not a fan of his, but if he comes back and he's in that,
he's supposed to come back. Look, the guy averaged 19 points a game in his first 2 years in the league. It's not like he's when he's healthy, he's good. I mean, he's not pretty to watch, right? He scrambles around and does the emergency kind of fire drill with his receivers some, but he makes plays, so that's not a bad idea.
I just don't love your Russell Wilson starting for you. I wish you can move up, but not with Daniel Jones. That's not going to help your team at all. Considering buying Low and Eckler, good idea. You should buy Low and Eckler if you can get him. Get him. Pollard is another guy you should buy low on. I feel he's not being valued at all right now.
He has football. Dylan already has Pollard.
Oh, does he? Okay, good. So as I mentioned, Kyler Murray is one of my top pickups just because. If you have that Russell Wilson or Daniel Jones quarterback on your team and you need to upgrade, Justin Fields, if he comes back and he's the old Kyler Murray, I said it right. It could be dangerous. It could be very dangerous. I really believe that. And Casey, Darrell Henderson, I think is a good pickup. I think in the Rams backfield, I wouldn't waste it on Freeman, and I wouldn't waste it on Galecki either.
No, it's Zach Evans or it's Darrell.
Zach Evans isn't even in the talk anymore here tonight. They're not even talking. His name's not mentioned in starting or playing at all. He's just benched. And Dalton Kincaid, I like a lot too. Chuba Hubbard is another waiver wire I want to pick up.
Yeah, because Miles Sanders has been terrible.
Last time he played, he had 80. I believe he had 80 yards and a touchdown for Carolina. And he's back, baby, and they're playing Houston. So that's a great matchup for him. So if you could pick up Chuba Hubbard, I love his name. I want to name my kid Chuba. Isn't that a great name, Case?
Yeah, Chuba the Boss Jr.
Yeah, that'd be great. Another guy, Casey, that's been tearing it up that I love. I love this guy. I want to grow a mustache just like him. I wish I could. but I don't have the facial hair to do it. But is Gardner Minshew? I love that guy. I always loved him. I always thought he was a great backup quarterback. I think it's something. If I had the money and owned an NFL team, I'd have for sure have him as my backup. I mean, he's great. I mean, he's with the Colts. The Colts scored over 30 points last week. He almost
had 2 rushing touchdowns. I
Yeah,
mean,
2
305, 2 passing, 2 rushing.
So what do you do with Gardner Minshew? Is he somebody that you would, if you have, let's say you have Russell Wilson and the quarterback for Seattle, what's his name?
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith. Would you start Gardner over those two?
Depends on matchups.
Okay, so you would not, it's not a very quick yes.
Right.
But you would start him over, let's say 50% of the league. You would start over Mac Jones, Riddler. Riddler's been playing really well,
Ridley's
too.
been,
Dak Prescott or Gardner Minshew? Who do you start? Go.
You
have to think about it, which is good.
I think I would probably take Dak, but I wouldn't feel great about it.
I just love Gardner Minshew. If he's available in your league, folks, and you're not happy with your quarterback, pick him up and start him. This guy tries 100,000% every game. He's a winner. He wants to win, and he has that mustache. You won't go wrong. Go ahead, pick him up now.
So he wants to know who you would package for Eckler that'd be considered fair and worth it.
Okay.
He has C.J. Stroud. He has Pollard, Cook, Mixon, Spears, Hunt, and Herbert as his running backs. He has Diggs, Ayuk, Hollywood Brown, Michael Thomas, and Downs as his wide receivers. So if it was me, I'd probably be looking to package like Hunt, Mixon, and Michael Thomas. If the guy is...
I'm trying to think of players that are on your team that have big weeks this week. That means something. I would throw Ayuk in the mix. I would keep Diggs. I love Hollywood. I don't think he's going to give you what he's worth. Andrews, I like. I think he's the second best tight end in the league right now. I mean, I would probably throw in Cook and I throw in Ayuk and see if he would do it.
See, I would run. I love Ayuk. He's my favorite wide receiver. One of my.
Listen, I like Ayuk too, but I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up Diggs.
See, I think if I give up Mixon and
Mixon's not. Let me go back to Mixon. He's not worth anything.
Yeah, but he's still a name.
I could put him on waiver wire and no one would claim him.
Mixon, Hunt, and Michael Thomas. I think.
If anybody wants, if you could trade Mixon in the mix, great. But I'm telling you,
because you'd have Pollard, Cook, and Eckler, and then Herbert coming off the IR in a few weeks.
I think Darrell Henderson has more touchdowns than Mixon this year. I want to see him make touchdowns.
But Mixon is due for a 4-touchdown game, so hopefully he has it this week against the 49ers.
I don't like Mixon. I mean, trade him if you can, but you're going to have to get rid of Ayuk if you want to get Eckler. I mean, Eckler is a top tier running back.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, this isn't. He's a top 3 guy. If you want him, especially during like November when Eckler starts heating up, that's when you really want him. So yeah, I would hold on to.
Maybe I would do Cook, Hunt, and I'm not giving up Ayuk or Diggs. I'd give up any of the other 3.
Okay, I think Hunt's a good time to get rid of. You know why, Case? Because
he's going to have all the volume for the next 3
and he
weeks.
had a touchdown last week too.
Right.
And I think that's a good idea. I'm just looking at players who else, whatever waiver wire players do you like, KC Scheinfold? If you don't have any, that's okay too. I mentioned a bunch, but you know, as you said, every week it gets slimmer and slimmer. It does. And I have the problem of what guy am I going to drop? I mean, I had to drop Cam Akers last week. That's how great my team was.
Yeah. I mean, I still like Tyjae Spears because even though Derrick Henry's still there, he's the one in the passing game who's getting a lot of that stuff. He's getting his fair amount. I actually really, if I'm looking forward, I want Tyler Boyd because I think Higgins is going to be traded. And the second Higgins gets traded, who's going to be the number 2 wide receiver all of a sudden to Joe Burrow? And that's going to be Tyler Boyd. And you'd be getting him cheap.
Listen, as I mentioned last week, Tyler Boyd was the Bengals' number 1 receiver before Chase and Higgins hit the floor. Tyler Boyd has a touchdown every other week. I mean, I have him in some leagues. I love Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
But people don't value him. I do. I like the guy. I would start him. I would start him at flex if I was in a small league in a
Yeah.
second.
Okay. JAC or JAC. Should I
JC.
trade Rashad White and Hollywood Brown for Bijan Robinson?
Yes, just press accept immediately. Bijan right now is a good time to pick up Bijan because everybody's down on him. He messed up a lot of people last week.
Yeah, if he's going to be the one who replaces Marquise Brown at your flex, that's all you're doing. I would do it in a heartbeat.
I have him in one league, KC Scheinfeld, huge money league, and I was down like 15 points going into the game last night, and I had guess who I had the number one guy,
Addison.
And
Nice.
Addison had a huge game, and I won the week. But if it wasn't for Addison, I would have lost. But Bijan really messed me up, so I'm not high on Bijan. That's why I'm telling you the story. So if somebody offered me something for Bijan right now, I probably would do it because I'm so angry. But it doesn't matter because down the road, Bijan's going to be big. Atlanta's a good team. I like Atlanta this year too. But yes, press accept. There's no thought process. White is invisible, and Hollywood Brown I do like. But at best, he's a number 2 or 3 receiver. So there you go. Bijan's a top 10 pick. I mean, he's like,
yeah.
So let's talk games coming up. KC Scheinfeld, are you done with waiver wire names? Anybody else that I should put on my list to draft this tonight?
Well, I mean, look, Roschon Johnson, you mentioned him. He's only 49%. He's questionable.
Is he coming back?
Working his way back. There's a lot of tight ends, ironically. We always talk about how there's no tight ends.
Yeah.
And I think the reason there's a lot is because there's Travis Kelce, there's Hawkinson and Kittle, and then there's everybody else.
Well, there's Mark Andrews too. You've got Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews. I'm sorry.
No worries. So there's four tight ends that you think are relevant. The rest are garbage. Keep
pretty
going.
much. Then you still have Rashee Rice and Rashid Shaheed at wide receiver.
You love Rice. I know you like Rice. He had a touchdown last week. Keep going.
Let's see. Anybody else of note? Not really. I like Wan'Dale Robinson as the kind of best of the Giants receivers, but again, Giants receivers.
Okay. He's not gonna win your league. So let's talk
George Play. Hold on. Hey guys, I'm
George Play 0-1. Got to get his name.
7-0. Nice.
7-0. Congratulations, yeah. George. But this is the time you got to trade. You got to trade. I'm just telling you right now.
C-Mac, Kenneth Walker III, Cooper Kupp, Chris Olave, Dallas Goedert, and my flex is James Cook.
Chris Olave was arrested last night. Just keep that in mind. I don't think he'll get suspended or anything. You know why he was arrested, KC Scheinfeld?
Speeding.
Yeah. Who gets arrested for speeding unless unless you have a warrant? I mean, I never heard of anybody getting arrested for speeding in 50 years. I mean, was he driving? I mean, he wasn't driving that fast. He must
be going over 100 miles an hour.
I don't think he was. I don't think he was. I think there's other players that got tickets going faster that got a warning. I'm sure. I guarantee it. I mean, don't cops have a special exception for football players? If I was a football player and some cop pulled me over, I would just show my NFL card, say, "Hey,
I think some of them try that. Sure.
I played for the Saints. Is there any way you can let me out, officer?" And the guy says, "Okay, I'll give you a warning." And I would say, "You know what? I'm not bribing you. I'll give you 2 tickets to my next home game. Thank you, officer. You drive away." There you go. That's all you have to do.
So, should he trade James Cook for Devon Achane? Or James Cook and Chris Olave for Justin Jefferson and Josh Downs?
Okay, so I was a huge James Cook fan beginning of the season. I was telling everybody, draft him. He averaged 6 yards a carry last year. He's a huge guy in fantasy. I love James Cook, and they have no other backs behind him. But Cook has been invisible in fantasy football. Horrible. Achane, I love. You're 7-0. You can wait till he gets healthy. Get Achane now. Go, go, go. Nothing else to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, you're 7-0, so you can absorb a 2-week losing streak.
2 week, who cares?
And be fine. If I firmly believed that Jefferson was going to come back after his 4 weeks and be Justin Jefferson again, I think that's the no-brainer of the 2 trades. If you have Kupp and Jefferson to go with the rest of that team, and you can put Josh Downs for James Cook in your flex, I mean, to me, the best player of all of that is Justin Jefferson, obviously.
That's it, yeah.
But Achane is, again, You're trading for an injured player, so you got to go with whichever one you think. And you have to trust your gut. I don't want to tell you what to do, and then we tell you the wrong thing and you resent us. So we're going to say both are good trades. Jefferson's the best player of all of them. You got to go with which one you trust to come back and make an impact first.
Yeah, I
If
just
you have
like
to remember,
Achane.
this is Achane's second injury this season. He missed most
That's
of the
true.
preseason with a hamstring or whatever it was, and now he's out again for 4 weeks with another injury. The knock on him coming out of college was he was too little to handle the physical punishment of the NFL. Whereas this is the first time Jefferson, I think, has missed a game in his NFL career. So this is a guy who's typically been very durable. If it was me, I would go the Jefferson route if I'm convinced he's coming back.
I like Achane. That's just me. I think the guy's going to come back in vengeance and just have 100-yard games with 2 touchdowns every time. But it's me. Okay, here's another one. T-Money reacts. Casey.
Should I trade Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, Bijan Robinson, and Calvin Ridley? Those are some big names.
This is great. This is like a blockbuster.
For Nico Hollins, Austin Eckler, and Tony Pollard.
So Eckler and Pollard are both on my list that buy low. Those are the buy low guys I have on my list this week.
Kyron Williams is hurt right now, but he'll be back. Bijan, we know, is a stud. Calvin Ridley has disappeared for games now.
I don't like getting rid of Cooper Kupp. I just think Cooper Kupp when he's healthy, he's such a weapon.
So if he makes the trade, he would have Eckler, Pollard, and AJ Dillon, who I hate.
I would not hate. I would just wave. I mean,
right.
AJ Dillon's in a lot of my leagues.
Wide receivers would be Jamar Chase, Nico Hollins. I love Nico, by the way. He's not Cooper Kupp, obviously, but he's better than Ridley right now.
How dare you?
Right now he is.
I love Ridley. But I think Kupp is the X factor there, and I just think you're not getting that player that's going to get you 100 yards and in a touchdown or 2 every week. Kupp is so dependable. Pollard's been invisible. Eckler is not himself right now.
You're trading.
See if you can do that trade without trading Kupp. That's what I would try to think.
I don't think Kupp's the biggest name he's given him.
Well, give him Waddle instead. See what he does. I don't know.
I would worry because I don't trust Pollard this year unless they trade for another back who can give him some breaks during the game. I love Bijan and I love Kupp. To me, those are the two. Well, Eckler and Kupp are the 2 best players in the trade.
Again, don't trade Kupp, but let's move on. Let's talk about games coming up this week. Casey Scheinfeld. Okay. We got Thursday night action. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Buffalo Bills. The Bills had looked awful last week.
It should be a Buffalo game, but
it's in Buffalo. It's in Buffalo. It's not snowing yet. It's not frozen yet. I think Buffalo will bounce back. I think on that game, who do you start in that game in fantasy value? Go.
Well, if you have to start Josh Allen. You have to start Stephon Diggs. I would probably start James Cook and
Gabe Davis.
Gabe Davis maybe as a flex.
Gabe Davis flex. How about the tight ends?
The interesting thing is we've had buys the last few weeks, and this
week
no buys at all.
They do that. So Kincaid, do you start? I mean, do you pick up Kincaid this week and start him? What do you do? Tampa Bay guarding the tight end, they're number 26 in the league.
Well, then, yeah, I probably would because
there you go. Okay, good.
He's boom or bust, just like everybody else.
Okay.
On Tampa Bay, I'm
Evans
and maybe Godwin. You're not going to start anybody else.
How about the fullback or running back Prescott? Is that his name?
Rashad White is their number 1.
Where did he go to school? I forgot. Yeah, you're 100% right. No, Arizona State. Okay, so let's talk about Sunday, Casey. I'm not going to through all the games because there's too many.
Yep.
And some games don't have anything with fantasy value. But a game I do want to talk about is the Eagles are at Washington. Do you start Howell? Do you pick up Mariota?
The Eagles' secondary has been beatable. I don't think you pick up Mariota. I mean,
okay,
he's been a bust at
David go
at Tennessee. He was a bust at Atlanta.
Bust.
Dustin, did he go to where else?
I think he went to the Vegas. Didn't he? Was he in Vegas for a little
He was
bit?
in Vegas, I think, for a little while.
Bust.
Yeah. So no,
Oregon, he was great. In college, he was unbelievable.
Yeah, Chip Kelly knew how to get the best
in Hawaii.
out of
I saw him play in high school in Hawaii. He was great, but that was it.
So those are the only ones I would.
And then you love the receivers in Washington. Let's talk about the Penn State kid.
Jahan Dotson's been a ghost.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. He's been a ghost. Samuels, you like.
And Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry.
Scary Terry, you love.
Reliable. Logan Thomas is reliable.
Okay.
I think
Brian Robinson, what do you do?
If I would start him as a flex. He's not an RB1 or 2 this week.
Let's talk about the Eagles. AJ Brown, every game, Casey Scheinfeld, 100 yards and a touch in every
He's number
game.
one. He's established himself as the alpha between the two receivers. I love Devonta Smith, but
I do too, but he's been a little invisible the past month.
Well, I think, AJ Brown's the more vocal, like give me the darn ball type of wide receiver, and Jalen Hurts is feeding him. So I would start Brown. I'd still start Smith as a wide receiver 3. I would start Dallas Goedert is suddenly playing well again. He's back in the game plan. If Jalen Hurts is healthy, you're going to run him out there. Or if he's starting, you're going to run him out there.
Swifty, start, right?
Yep.
Gainwell, you don't start.
No, Gainwell, Rashad Penny is not even on the roster. I'm not sure.
Here's okay. Tell me who's going to win this game. New England is in Miami. Miami is favored by 9.5 points. The Patriots just beat the Bills.
And I would lay all my money on if I was a betting person, and we don't encourage betting here, on Miami.
So you think Miami is going to be the highest scoring team this week?
I'd have to look at all the games. Hold on.
Well, I'll give you I'm looking at the games right now, and I really don't.
I got them right here. Tampa Bay Buffalo.
Maybe the Chargers and Bears. The Chargers can score a lot of points.
The Chargers could score a lot.
But I wouldn't bet $1 on the Chargers just because they never come through when you want them to.
I think Kansas City could score a ton against Denver.
They've been really lackluster for me, Kansas City, this year.
Yeah. I think Baltimore could whip up on Arizona.
But if Tyler Swift goes to the game, I think it's for sure they're winning. Tyler Swift, when she shows up to a game to watch, they're 4-0, Kansas City, Case.
Actually, I'll tell you the highest scoring team is going to be this week.
Okay, let me just envision this. Okay, go.
Monday Night
Football. We got
Detroit Lions
and the Raiders,
the Las Vegas Raiders in Detroit.
In Detroit, the first time they're hosting a game since like '91 on Monday night. Detroit Lions.
I see them especially if Montgomery's back, but even without him, I see them putting a hurting on.
Well, I haven't got to Monday yet, but okay. Well, Sunday, I think the highest scoring team is going to be Miami. I think you got to start all the Dolphins, Patriots. I wouldn't start anybody in the Patriots right now. I think the Patriots are
maybe Ramondre Stevenson. If you're hoping that Bill Belichick's plan is to take as much air out of the football as possible, he or Zeke could get a bunch of carries and just be volume producers, but no.
Okay, here's a high-scoring game, Case. Kansas City is at Denver.
Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes and Isaiah Pacheco. You start
Denver, I thought had a horrible defense, and then last week, Green Bay.
Well, Jordan Love's been horrible. Before we
were like, we said like, oh, this guy's good. We like him. We should pick him up. And now we're saying
he's been terrible. He's been terrible. But I think you start Pacheco. I think you start Kelce. I think you start Patrick Mahomes. I love Rashee Rice. You know that. But I don't, last week it was Kadarius Toney. That was kind of the one targeted the most. Andy Reid is frustrating with his wide receivers if he doesn't have an alpha. On Denver, you're starting Russell Wilson just because you're hoping it's going to be the game script where he throws a lot. Cortland Sutton suddenly was alive last week. And I think you're going to start Jerry Jeudy, even though he's been one of the most disappointing wide receivers in fantasy football this year.
This game, I can't wait to watch. I think it's going to be a good game. I hope it's good. Cincinnati is at San Francisco. Cincinnati's defense is playing a lot better than they were at the beginning of the season. Bengals wise, coming off a bye week, which means Burrow's a week healthier. Burrow, Chase, Higgins. I don't start Mixon, but you love him. I can't.
I
stand
don't
him.
love him.
Oh, okay. I
I
can't
said I
stand him.
think some people still see him as a top 10 running back, and
I
if you can
find
trade
him.
on his name,
I
no,
find him
you got to
horrible.
start. Those are the only three you really start. Tyler Boyd, I might throw in my flex.
If you're in a desperate situation, Tyler Boyd, Niners, CMC, right? A
I'm
Duke.
starting. Yeah, you're starting McCaffrey. You're starting Ayuk. You're starting Kittle. If Debo's back, you're starting him, and you're starting Brock Montana.
If he's not benched,
No, he won't be benched if he has all his weapons, and you don't have a better viable quarterback,
I
right?
think
Like,
Brock Montana. All seriousness, Brock Montana at home is a different player. He'll be fine. He'll have 2 touchdowns, probably 250 yards. If you're okay with those stats, start him. If you're not, start somebody else. But him at home, he's a whole different. He's a different player. He's never lost at home. Casey Scheinfeld never lost.
yep.
What does that tell you? This game is the Sunday night game. The Bears, who won last weekend against your Raiders, they just didn't win. They beat the Raiders bad with their second string quarterback, who went to St. Shepherd College. Is that correct?
Did you see the interview with his dad
St.
on the
Shepherd.
sidelines?
Yeah, his dad is a world
champion arm wrestler.
He beat Dan Ratner, who's on the show Thursday. Every time they arm wrestled, he'll beat Dan every time. So there you go. But yeah, he's a world. Yeah, his dad's great. His dad, I showed him.
His dad should have his own show. Like, I would have watched him the whole time.
Oh, he was wearing the jersey that he had to make himself. I'm sure no one was selling those jerseys in Chicago. There's no way. But it was nice to see. He was really happy for his son. His son played a really good game for being a kid that was drafted out of a Division III school. I don't even know. I don't even know how you get drafted out of Division III school. I have no idea how they find you. I really don't.
know.
I mean, you got to know, like, one of the scouts and say, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you look at my son? I have no idea how they found this kid. And then, so the Bears are at the Chargers. The Chargers, I don't trust. I mean, if I was betting, I would probably take the Bears in the 9 points. I don't trust the Chargers.
No, really, but you trust Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen.
Fantasy-wise, Allen, Herbert. What do you do with with Jared Everett? I do like Jared Everett. I would throw him in the mix too if you need a tight end.
If you're desperate, I would. But
okay, fine.
If Eckler's back, you got to run Eckler out there.
Devontae Foreman for the Bears. I would
Foreman
start.
Has been awesome.
I would start Devontae Foreman. He had 3 touchdowns, Casey, 33 fantasy points. He was unbelievable. But I think that's going to be a high scoring game. Let's think over under on that game. It's 46.5. I could
easily see it going under though and being like 27-9.
I don't know. I think the Bears will score points. I think the Bears are going to use this quarterback and they're just going to let him run and throw and just do what he does, and they don't care. They have nothing to lose. They're not making the playoffs, so might as well try every trick play you have.
Yeah.
And Monday night, your Las Vegas Raiders are in Detroit. Detroit's first game on Monday night in almost over 30 years, Casey Scheinfeld. I like Detroit at home, as you know. I never thought I would say that in my lifetime, but I'm saying it. I'm excited to watch them play on Thanksgiving. I never was excited until now. I love Gibbs. I love Jared Goff. I love St. Brown. I love Josh Reynolds. I love everybody. Casey
Williams. Yeah, they got him all. That Sam.
I love the whole team. I think they're the second best team in the league. I think they're better than the Niners.
Okay, that's bold, but I like it.
Thanks,
and then Las Vegas. I guess Josh Jacobs, you're going to run out there, and Devontae Adams.
Are you looking to get Josh Jacobs if you can get him? If you can lowball somebody for him,
I can lowball him, sure, but
do you want him? I mean, is that somebody you trust?
Anybody who gets the volume at running back, you want, because there's so many running back by committees.
Such a disappointment this year, Casey Scheinfeld. Okay, Casey, we'll be here next Tuesday, same time, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock Eastern, but
Thursday.
We'll be back here Thursday at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific. And today in sports, Casey Scheinfeld, I know you don't like to talk about it. We're doing it anyway. We got baseball, Game 7. I need your prediction real quick. Philadelphia is at home against Arizona. Casey, who do you like?
My prediction, Phillies 9-3.
Phillies 9-3. Home runs by Harper and Turner. Schwarber
and
Turner.
Let's go with
Castellanos.
Nick Castellanos.
Bomb.
Good pick.
Bomb.
Or JT Realmuto.
Oh, he's been on fire too. I love JT. And then it's also opening night for the NBA. Casey hates the NBA. It's a trigger
I don't
for him.
hate the NBA.
Well, let me just finish. It's a trigger for you. You don't want to talk about, but again, it's the opening night. We'll see what happens. And the other great thing in sports today, I'm gonna mention it because it's hockey. I know you hate hockey. ESPN doesn't have the rights for basketball tonight, so they're showing hockey, and they're doing it like Red Zone. So every 15 minutes, starting 6 o'clock Eastern, they're having a game start. Every team's playing tonight in the NHL. If you have time, just turn it on and see what it looks like. I have no idea what it's going to look like. You have games, but could be covering every game in the NHL, like Red Zone. But it's
all right. We have one last trade to get in. Question quick. Blur got it in just under the wire. He has Kincaid. Should he trade Ayuk and Laporta for Josh Allen? I say yes. I mean,
should I trade Ayuk and Laporta?
Yeah, if you have the depth at wide receiver, I don't know. But if you have depth at wide receiver.
Oh, wait. Oh, you're talking not Josh Allen. You're talking about the receiver for the Chargers.
Keenan Allen. I thought it was Josh Allen.
Okay, go back. So Keenan Allen, Laporta.
No, I wouldn't make that trade. I like Ayuk and Laporta as much as I like Allen and Kincaid. Although it's close, I guess.
I'm always an advocate of trading, so I would probably do the trade.
Ross just doesn't like to have the same team for too long. But it's not an unfair
Allen
trade.
is such a – if you look at Allen's stats case, he's a top 3 receiver this year.
He's number 2, I think, this year. But I worry about his health. The last thing I want is him to get hurt in week 11.
It's with any player. I mean,
yeah, but he's always has a back issue every year. So I wouldn't pull the trade. Ross would. It's a fair trade. I got to be honest. I like Ayuk. I don't like Brock Purdy as much.
Pull it. Pull the trade. Do it.
We're with you.
All
right, guys.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you Thursday.